Pick up your copy of the Son of Man Speaks magazine today. With the Son of Man Speaks magazine, you'll receive automotive tips, wholesome recipes, financial advice, and most importantly, a true understanding of the Word of God. Get your copy of the Son of Man Speaks from these select locations. Sisters, Braid 2, 18070 Mount Elliott, the Shell gas station, 13110 West 7 Mile Road. To get a subscription, call 601-786-9788. That's 601-786-9788. The Son of Man Speaks magazine, dedicated to becoming free indeed.
Attention, brothers and sisters, viewers and listeners, now available. Your Son of Man Speaks magazine digital subscription. Your digital subscription to the Son of Man Speaks magazine will also include our monthly e-newsletter, both delivered to your inbox. If you have any questions regarding the digital magazine subscription or digital newsletter, you may send an email to shabazprinting@thenewnationofislam.com. That's shabazprinting@thenewnationofislam.com. Or call 1-601-786-9788. That's 1-601-786-9788. You can also subscribe online. Visit www.thenewnationofislam.com and click on the magazine tab to register for your online subscription.
We would like to invite you to help support the efforts of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. Visit the website at www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. That's www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. We often hear how we need to work together to rebuild the city, and we're actually doing it. You can make online donations and click on links to track the progress of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. And for more information, 313-868-0000 is a local number. Again, 313-868-0000. Support the Unity and Rebuilding Fund.
To make your online tithes, offerings, donations, gifts to the Son of Man through Cash App, make your payment to $New Nation of Islam. That's $New Nation of Islam. Or call 601-786-7056. 601-786-7056.
I just used your other one though today because it was, look, it did 2 drips and I was like, oh, I can use my umbrella. My homegirl was talking about it. I'm like, don't talk about it.
With our umbrellas, our customers are turning a drab day into a fab day. After all, representation matters. In other words, rain or shine, we've got you covered. Introducing Designs by Deej, your one-stop gift shop for all things handmade and unique. Our products range from our most popular umbrellas, blanket and pillow sets, handmade coasters, and other statement pieces that showcase the beauty of our melanin and natural hair in a beautiful and empowering way. You can find our brand at the sister shop locations in New Jersey and Atlanta, Georgia, or you can visit our website, www.designsbydeej.com. Again, that's www.designsbydeej.com.
Graphic Design provides agency-quality professional graphic design services from established companies to startups and individuals, creating a simple logo to complete rebranding and delivering visual communication with print media. Everything SOS Graphic Design does has a single unifying objective: to set your business apart. We are at your your service. Call 313-342-2166. That's 313-342-2166 or online at www.sosgraphicdesigns.com.
Are your clothes coming apart at the seams? Universal Seamstress and Tailoring has got you covered. At Universal Seamstress and Tailoring, we specialize in a wide variety of alterations and transformations to make and keep your clothes looking and fitting their best. From hem jobs to downsizing suits and dresses for a perfect fit to replacing zippers and buttons, Universal Seamstress and Tailoring is your one-stop shop for clothing maintenance. Also, do you have a logo for your clothes you'd like to wear? Universal Seamstress and Tailoring can put it there. That's right. At Universal Seamstress and Tailoring, we not only do alterations, but embroidery as well. Shirts, pants, coats, hats, even bags. If you can wear it, we can embroider it. So remember, whether it be alterations or embroidering you need, Universal Seamstress and Tailoring has got you covered. Universal Seamstress and Tailoring is located at 1404 Main Street, Fayette, Mississippi. Come and see us or give us a call at 601-786-0540.
Year-Around Landscaping has been serving Metro Detroit for over 20 years, offering various landscaping, lawn care, property maintenance, and home renovation. Our professionalism has earned us an outstanding reputation, while our creativity, integrity, and dependability have kept our clients returning and referring us to others. At Year-Round Landscaping, we prioritize quality customer service. We treat every client as our only client before, during, and after providing our services. We believe in building solid relationships with our clients and ensuring their satisfaction. Whether you need a complete outdoor makeover, indoor renovation, or routine maintenance, we have the expertise and resources to deliver outstanding results. Our team is committed to providing exceptional service and completing every project to the highest standard. To schedule an estimate or consultation, please call us at 248-843-6139 or visit our website at yearroundlandscaping.net. Year-Around Landscaping. One source, unlimited resources.
For elite carpet, floor, and upholstery cleaning, call Supreme Steam Cleaning. For pressure washing on your house and driveway, call Supreme Steam Cleaning. Flooding in your house or building? Supreme Steam Cleaning's got you covered with our emergency water extraction services. Transform the rooms in your home with floor installation, repairs, and more. Give us a call today at 601-720-5138. That's 601-720-5138. Visit our website, www.supremesteamclean.com, and follow us on social media at Supreme Steam Cleaning. When you need an elite team, call Supreme.
For all facets of professional hair care and braiding, come to Sisters Braid 2, located at 18070 Mount Elliott in Detroit. We specialize in braiding and natural styles, knotless box braids, feed-in braids, scale twists for men, women, and children. We specialize in all facets of healthy hair. Try our natural oils to keep your hair healthy. 313-826-0498 or 248-372-1738.
Murray, out of the pocket. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. Murray, he's downfield. Oh, man, the power's out again.
You have reached Quality Construction and Engineering, your #1 emergency generator source.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life. With a backup generator, your life goes on uninterrupted with power when you need it. Not to mention the peace of mind of having your property suited to weather the storm.
Whoever would have thought in Houston, Texas, that we would have an ice storm? It did happen, and that Sunday night when it came in, I got up and looked at the front door. Everything was pitch black. It was horrible. Something out of a novel or a science book that you had never seen before. Once the lights went out, my generator popped on. It ran 55 hours. The only one had lights.
Get your backup generator installed with Quality Construction. We install both residential and commercial generators, so you're always covered. Schedule your consultation with us by calling 1-855-876-9370. That's 1-855-876-9370. Or visit us online at www.powerqec.com. That's www.powerqec.com. Financing is available with low monthly payments and 0% interest for 18 months.
That was the best investment that we could have ever made. That's my backup, the generator.
Generators with Quality Construction, built tough enough to weather the storm.
Capital Area Planning Services offers a variety of services catered to your land development needs. We offer landscape design, residential design, land planning, mapping and consulting services, and more. We have over 20 years of design and land planning experience. CAPS LLC offers services to developers, builders, architects, surveyors, contractors, government agencies, and private landowners. Feel free to contact us to find out which services are available in your area. You may reach us at 601-326-2966. That's 601-326-2966. You can also visit us on the web at www.capsllconline.com. Let us put on our thinking caps to serve your land development needs.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
Brothers and sisters, are you tired of reading the Holy Scripture and not really understanding what you read? And if you're reasonably sure, have you ever tested that what you feel you know with someone that has a different view than your own? Then let's talk with one another. Then let's reason with one another on a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man every Wednesday at 9 p.m., Friday at 9 p.m., and Sunday at 12 noon. On WHPR TV Detroit Live, 88.1 FM WHPR, and Comcast Cable. Why don't you call and discuss the Holy Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures and their true meaning? You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313-868-0351. That's 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313-868-0351. And now, let's go live with a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you once again who are hungry and thirsty for the true understanding of the Holy Scriptures and for the truth in general of the world around us. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's salam alaikum. We are going to, if it pleases Allah, we will start as we always do, with those who may have something that they want to question us about or have a conversation with us about.
Yes, sir. The first person we have is Christopher Omar Ross. And he says, in the name of Allah, Son of Man, may Allah, Salam Alaikum, sir.
May wa alaikum ala salam.
All the time you say what a person is thinking, but I was wondering, what does that red mark or dot mean in the middle of the forehead of those Indian or Hindu people? Sometimes it's red and then sometimes it's black.
You know, I had looked that up once, and I didn't really. Just a moment, I'll look it up for you again. The first definition that comes up is that what does the red dot on the forehead mean? And Wikipedia says December 5th, 2023. In Indian culture, women wear red dots on their forehead to say I'm married. And you know that when I try to get more, it don't seem to want to give me any more than that. Let me see here. A bindi is an auspicious mark worn by young girls and women in India. The name is derived from bindu, a Sanskrit word for point or dot, and is usually red in color, made with vermilion powder. Another place it says in June 5th, 2016, this was put up there. The purpose of the bindi, aside from the beautiful saree and gold jewelry that characterize much of the Indian subcontinent's culture, one of the most internationally known. Let's see if they'll give me a full page. It's not letting me go to a full page of it. But so that's basically what this is giving us here on my computer here. You can put it in a question in your computer. Yours may give you more, but that's all I get from this. Did we have another question?
We have somebody.
You know, I don't get into too much symbolism of other people's religions, because the right religion is the one I'm teaching you. You don't have to paint nothing on your forehead or nothing else. the right religion, the true religion with Allah or with God, is entire submission to the truth. Period. And because Allah, He is the truth. That's just plain. Truthful people submit to truth. Okay. What else?
Yes, sir. The next person is Elise Bass, and she left this on the video of you calling out Gino Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
And she left 3 comments. She starts out by saying, "No offense, how you treated that caller that tried to explain his misunderstandings. You cut him off because this was your study."
What caller?
I'm not sure, sir.
I mean, you know, most of the time, you all. Let me explain something to you. See, what you fail to understand is that when a person does not understand, they don't know they don't understand. Anytime the person tries to explain, well, I'm misunderstanding, and then starts trying to explain, they said, that person ain't misunderstood nothing. They're trying to snowball you into agreeing with something that they trying to make an excuse for believing in. Do you understand? You know, a person who does not understand you, it's not up to them really to say that they don't understand you. It's when you converse with them for a minute, you will tell them they didn't understand. Do you understand? How often do you hear people come in here and tell me they don't understand me? Whenever you are speaking to a person and you are imparting knowledge or giving them knowledge or saying you are teaching them something, if they fail to understand, if they truly giving you their attention, the fault of them not understanding is yours. You should speak in language that they can understand. Now go on. She said I cut people off. Yes, I will cut people off sometimes when they are speaking and what they are saying starts off on a false premise. Now, if you tell me what it was that I cut the man off in saying, I will tell you why I cut him off. But anyway, see, your problem is you look for fault in me, so when you see me do something that you think there's a fault in, instead of asking me about it, you make a judgment about it. You're like a child trying to make a judgment about something that an adult did. Just because you don't understand why I did it, that don't make it wrong. The first thing you learn, if you had watched, was this something with me and Gino Jennings when I was called? If you watched with me and Gino Jennings, or watched with me and Holger Neubauer, you will notice that whenever I was speaking and the host, which was Gino or Neubauer, began speaking, I shut up. Because I was their guest. You seem to think that you can be a guest in someone's home and then tell them how to run it. Go ahead. You know, but you do that to me because I'm black. And you don't like what I'm saying. You don't see a black man as having any authority to do anything in the way of exercising leadership and authority. But I'm comfortable in my skin. I don't beg for money. So I don't have to bite my tongue to not offend you because I'm going to ask you for some money after this is over with. I ain't going to ask you for now a dime. and you going to get in trouble for not giving me nothing. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so she says, you cut him off because this was your study lesson, no different than Gino Jennings did to you. Be careful, all are accountable.
You say I cut him off because it was my study lesson. And you said that to say what? I wasn't condemning Gino for cutting me off. I was condemning Gino because he's a liar. He's standing up there pretending to know something that he really didn't know. Did you ever hear Gino Jennings correct me on any scripture that I explained? So, but anyway, you this is the problem when you're dealing with people who are ignorant and trying to pretend that they are knowledgeable. Do you understand? Now, let me read something to you here. Now, this is from George Washington, and because if I had known this, if they had taught us this from elementary school on up, at the same time, they taught you the Pledge of Allegiance, which was good. It's a good thing to teach people to be patriotic. Do you understand? It says, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's what they taught us. At least that's what they told us. But you can't teach people justice if you don't explain to them what justice is and how to go about it, how to go about rendering justice. What do you think the scripture is teaching you when it says, as you would that men do to you, do ye also unto them? It's teaching you justice. Do you understand? Whatsoever, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. He's teaching you justice. God is a just God. That's how you know that they got this justice system from God. You saw it work day before yesterday. Matter of fact, you saw the justice system that God inspired in these people. You saw it work for the past, 6 weeks? All eyes, not just in America, all eyes around the world was watching the justice system that God gave to the United States, watching it in action. 12 common people, 12 ordinary citizens, 12 working people set in judgment over a former president of the United States. Ain't that something? And you know that you got a whole party call themselves, it was a hijacked party, a party that was Republican, and a group of people called themselves Tea Party took it over and dressed themselves up like Republicans. And they have taken over the Republican Party, and now you got a whole party of people trying to convince the citizens of the United States to give up their awesome power and accept being dictated to by a king or by an individual that usurps that authority by means of convincing them that water ain't wet. That's rich, man. I mean, can you imagine the gravity of that? That citizens are sent notices from the court system, from the what is ours called, Mr. Arnold? He's the clerk, from the clerk of court. Let her go out. We are asked. You have been service to. You are being requested to serve on a jury, on jury duty. Call this number, and report here or do that, and then when you get there, the judge, whoever, wants all of the people that's been brought in, subpoenaed to come to jury duty. Notice it's called jury duty, huh? And you get in there. And I've been subpoenaed for jury duty before. They didn't put me on the jury, but I was subpoenaed for it, and I went because I recognized the value of it. You claim you believe in justice, and then when you get a chance to do justice, to give justice, you don't want to serve. You don't want to do what people died to get a chance to do, which was to have some say-so over not just themselves, but over their country, over their city, over their neighborhood, and how people conduct themselves in their neighborhood. And that if people offend their city or their neighborhood, you can bring them to court. You don't have to go beat them up. You don't have to do nothing. You can bring them to court, and they can be put on trial, and let them explain why they did what they did. Do you understand? And let them show that they were justified to do what they did or pay the consequences. You see? Or suffer the consequences of their misdeeds. Donald Trump is now being made to suffer the consequences of his misdeeds. And he's made to first, he's found guilty of it by people who, some of the people on that jury, they said they couldn't be fair, and they excused themselves. I respected that. Huh? Half of them, the judge let them go because they said, no, I got too much baggage about this man. I can't sit on the jury. See how honest people will be if you give them a chance. And so, that is something that ain't no way that these people could have set up. Is there a problem? Huh? Well, there's people driving by. The only way that this could have been set up and worked for as long as it has worked, as President Biden reminded people, for over 250 years, this has been created a somewhat peaceful coexistence with a nation filled with immigrants. Huh? The one thing that immigrants all have in common is when they migrated to this country, they did so seeking something better than they left. Right? Come on now, let's just be honest. If what all of the Italians had in Italy was working for all of them, you wouldn't find so many Italians in America. I didn't hear you. Every people that have countries like Japanese, Chinese, Australians, Haitians, Africans, people from all the continents, they come to this country for one reason. And they call it the American dream. What is the American dream? To be more and to be all that you have in you the ability to become of good. Do you understand? Now let's get to anybody that disagree with something I'm saying, you're welcome to come in here and discuss it with me. But you see the mistake that you made in your school system. I'm talking to you white people now. You owners of America. Your founding fathers left you something. And you put it on the shelf and let it collect dust. Look at this. I'm gonna read from George Washington, the father of the United States. They said George Washington is the father of your country. That's what they taught us in school, didn't they? Well, even to this very day, I think about things that my physical daddy said to me. Like he used to ask me when he'd see me mad, sitting up with my mouth stuck out. And then he jug at me a little bit and say, "Marvin?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "What make a little fish grow to be a big fish?" And I tell him, "I don't know." I was lying. He knew I was lying. But he knew I was upset. I told you, my daddy wasn't hateful. He was just strict. And I knew what I could get away with and what I couldn't get away with him. And but when he'd see I was upset about something, sometime especially something that happened to me out on the street or something that he wouldn't let me do, he'd start jugging at me. And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Because he careful what he bite." And then he just started laughing. And to this day, I realized that that's when he would be teaching me to be careful what you let yourself believe that come from outside of yourself. Do you understand? You got to be careful what you bite down on. You're a little fish and you want to grow to be a big one, you better be careful what you bite. Do you understand? Okay. So, George Washington, when he gave this farewell address, he didn't do it. Me and my daddy, we became friends after I grew up. We wasn't friends while I was growing up. He was daddy. You understand? And I couldn't talk to him like I talked to my friends. And so this is how George Washington started his farewell address. He said, friends and citizens. And you notice, now the one thing you do hear in Congress and in the Senate, you don't hardly hear it anymore. They don't hardly mean it anymore. But they refer to each other as my friends over there on the left, or my friends on the right don't seem to want to. Do you understand? But they still use some of the language of their father. You understand? And so he says, friends and citizens. The period for a new election of a citizen to administer the executive government of the United States being not far distant, and the time actually arrived when your thoughts must be employed in designating the person who is to be clothed with that important trust. It appears to me proper, especially as it may conduce to a more distinct expression of the public voice, that I should now apprise you or make known to you of the resolution I have formed to decline, to turn down being considered among the number of those out of whom a choice is to be made. I beg you at the same time to do me the justice to be assured within yourself that this resolution has not been taken without a strict regard and concern to all the considerations appertaining to the relation which binds a dutiful citizen to his country, and that in withdrawing the tender of my service, which silence in my situation might imply, I am influenced by no diminishing or diminution of zeal for your future interests, no deficiency of grateful respect for your past kindness of bestowing upon me such a powerful position. But my motives are supported by a full conviction that the step that I'm about to take now is compatible with both my love for the country and my love for duty and for you. It says, the acceptance of the continuance hitherto in the office to which your suffrages have twice called me have been a uniform sacrifice of inclination, meaning I was inclined to accept, to the position of duty, and to a deference for what appeared to be your desire. He wasn't too much interested in being president. But even though he wasn't interested in it, he knew that he was qualified, and if called upon by his people, he would serve. Do you understand? What they have that old saying, greatness is thrust upon those who do not desire it. Do you understand? And so I constantly hoped that it would have been much earlier in my power, consistently with motives which I was not at liberty to disregard, to return to the retirement from which I had been reluctantly drawn. He was a retired soldier, tired, had fought a war, a revolutionary war, and carried the country to freedom. And then he was ready to quit after that and turn it over to his countrymen to run it now. I done gave it to you. Now you want to pull me out of retirement to run it for you. Just to be the chief executive. He wasn't ready to do that. But he was more than qualified. Do you understand? So it's kind of like when most people, they don't like to admit it, but most of the people who are born on the earth are accidents. Their daddy and mama, their daddy wasn't ready for it. But when it happened, he said, okay, just got to deal with it. Huh? And that is more responsibility. It's not just bringing the child into the world. You got to provide for them children. You got to feed, clothe, and shelter them. Now you got to start doing without to see about them. And man, that's a you got to man up. Huh? And so George Washington, he brought the country to birth. Then he realized they want me to take care of what I done gave birth to here. Well, okay, man up. Don't quit now. Huh? And he didn't quit. And so it says, the strength of my inclination to do this, previous to the last election, had even led to the preparation of an address to declare it to you. But after mature reflection on the then perplexed and critical posture of our affairs with foreign nations and the unanimous advice of persons entitled to my confidence, it impelled me to abandon the idea of retirement at that time. You understand? I rejoice that the state of your concerns, external as well as internal, no longer renders the pursuit of inclination to retire incompatible with the sentiment of duty or propriety. In other words, I have given you the best that I am within myself satisfied that I can give you. You can handle it from here. Do you understand? And so he says, and I am persuaded whatever partiality may be retained for my service, that in the present circumstances of our country, you will not disapprove my determination to retire. It says, the impressions with which I first undertook the arduous trust were explained on the proper occasion, in other words, when I was elected in my inaugural address. It says, in the discharge of this trust, I will only say that I have, with good intentions, contributed towards the organization and administration of the government, the best exertions of which a very fallible judgment or mindset was capable. He recognized that he wasn't perfect. He wasn't all-knowing. He was fallible. Do you understand? But in all of that, his intentions, it's just like any of us that have been fathers, you know good and well when you first had a child, you didn't know what to do. I didn't hear you. You didn't know how you was going to take care of him, and you wondering if you're going to do the right thing. Now I'm responsible for raising some children. I used to get on my daddy's case, and now mine going to be getting on mine. Do you understand? And it's a job, man. Because decisions that you make are going to directly, many of your decisions are going to directly affect those that you love and are responsible to take care of. It's just like now, leadership is not what people think. If you're really a leader, you got a lot of responsibility. Your judgments ain't going to just affect you. It's going to affect all of those people who put their trust in your judgment. It says, the impressions with which I first undertook the arduous trust were explained on that occasion, on that proper occasion of inaugural address. In the discharge of this trust, I will only say that I have with good intentions. You know, and that's the wonderful thing about when you really trying to do the right thing. When you really trying to do the right thing, God is always with you. There is no doubt in that. Many times I've sat down and tried to figure out, man, how am I going to take care of this? Next thing I know, here's the help coming. I knew it was because I just say all praise is due to Allah. Elijah thought he was the last soul, and he was sitting down contemplating what to do and about to give up, and the Lord asked him, what you do, Elijah, what you doing? He said, they done got rid of all of the prophets, and me alone is left. And God told him, I got 7,000 souls that ain't bowed to Baal yet. What you doing? Get up. You ain't by yourself. Do you understand? And so George Washington, after acknowledging that he did all he could do in good conscience for the betterment and for the longevity of his nation, he said, it's time for me to step aside. Do you understand? And so he said, not unconscious in the outset of the inferiority of my qualifications. No man that takes on the office of president, you can't ask him what's your experience, because he ain't had no experience as being president. That's a learn as you go. That's a on-the-job learning. That's why you got to take with you into that office the love for your country, that a father has for his family. And that love will guide you to good intentions. And when your intention is good, Allah will open doors for you to show you that He is ever watchful. Remember, He is omnipresent. So there's no situation that you are in that, you remember I told you the air are creatures? Haven't you ever wondered how something was troubling you and you maybe went to sleep on it, or you was trying to figure out something, and then it all of a sudden came to you what to do? Did you try to take credit for that on your own? Yes, most of us do, pat ourselves on the back. But I told you the air is creatures. The same air that's in my brain and picking my brain and keeping it alive, it's in every brain on the planet. And they can relay answers to you whenever they please. In Star Wars, they called midichlorians. But that's just another way of saying the air, the creature that your brain requires in order to operate. Do you understand? You see, I was told, this is in the scripture. It says, you shall be brought before kings and rulers for a testimony, and give no thought what you shall say before you get up there. Because in the self same hour, it will be given you what to say. Huh? And that's the way I do now. I don't be knowing what I'm going to teach most of the time when I get up here. I be done thought about it for a few minutes. Then I remember when I can't think of nothing. I remember what the scripture says. Stop worrying about it. You'll know what to say when you get up there. And so I'm like the best way I could explain how I feel when I get up to talk to you is, you know how you used to feel when you had presents under your Christmas tree when you was growing up? And some of them you knew what was in them, but for the most part, you couldn't wait to get down there and open up them that you didn't know what was in there. Isn't that right? Well, that's the way I am when I get up to teach. I can't wait to see what Allah gonna give me to share with you. So I'm always energized to teach and to share. But anyway, George Washington, he recognized, he said, not unconscious. He said, I'm not unconscious in the outset of the inferiority of my personal qualifications, because I knew I wasn't qualified. But I can surround myself with people whose advice I can trust. And it will help me to be more secure in the decisions that I make on behalf of the nation that I love. Do you understand? And so he said experience, and that's one of the reasons why a president takes what they call a cabinet in office with him. A cabinet of advisors. Just like when you getting ready to do something in the kitchen. What is a kitchen without cabinets? Now you understand where the term came from. If you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Huh? See, many people, what is the heat? The press is the heat. Because every decision you make, the press duty is to question it. Because what is the point of having a press? That is the people's check on you. The press ask you questions, that they see something happening, they see this going on, that's their job, to ask. And for the most part, they know that you're not going to talk about national security information, even if they ask you about it. Anything that's of a nature that it cannot be divulged publicly. And you know, most press used to be smart enough not to go there. Do you understand? But general things that they see you have done and whatnot, well, that's fair game. You did this, and this happened. Did you know that was going to happen? Did you take that into account? And they just making sure that the man that they chose to be the captain or at the head, the chief executive of their government, can think on his feet. Do you understand? Hasn't lost his edge. Just like when Joe Biden got up in front of Congress, and they bid on something that they shouldn't have bid on, and they opened up a door for him that time when he said, some of my friends on the right here, they want to do away with Social Security, and all of them started, no. He said, oh, you really don't want that? Okay. He said, so you agree with me on that you want to hold on. He got them without realizing he got them to lie about what they had been planning behind closed doors. Now people know that even if they was planning on getting rid of it, they couldn't do it now because they had said publicly in the State of the Union that they wasn't planning on doing that. Do you understand? So he's a astute businessman when he need to be. You know, he showed that he has a quick mind and he thinks a few steps ahead, and that's good. And so, anyway, he says, experience in my own eyes, perhaps still more in the eyes of others. Now you see where he coming from. He says it's not enough to see yourself through your eyes. Like many people, they say, well, that's all he do is stand up there talking about he the Son of Man, he this and he that. And that's because they ain't paying attention. I didn't say I was the Son of Man. I read that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad called me the Son of Man. He said that the original man, that's what he taught every black man and woman that came in the nation. They received what is called the student enrollment. The first question of the student enrollment is, who is the Son of Man? But it wasn't asked like that. It was asked, who is the original man? And the answer was, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. Okay. So the original man is God of the universe. And he's black. I didn't hear you. Now, David, he said, know ye that the Lord, he is God. So now, you could just as easily say the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, Lord of the universe. I didn't hear you. Okay, then Jesus said, the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day. So now you got Son of Man, Lord, and God. I didn't say none of that. I read that. And the book of Ezekiel says, Son of man, stand upon your feet, and I will speak unto you. And so the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me and stood me upon my feet. The messenger told me, he said, in his sayings, he said, if you want to talk to Allah, you ain't talking to somebody if they ain't talking back. I didn't hear you. How many times have you said, hey, such and so and such and so and so? And somebody looked at you and said, you talking to me? I didn't hear you. How many times have you read the scriptures and came to the conclusion that the scriptures wasn't talking to you? I mean, really. I mean, if God was talking to you in the Bible, he was doing a mighty poor job of making you understand what he was saying. What kind of God talks to you and can't make you understand what he said? I didn't hear you. So the Bible, if it was for somebody, it sure wasn't written for you. Now, was it? Well, if I understand it, and I'm the only one who understands it, then it must be talking to me by process of elimination. That's circumstantial evidence. I didn't hear you. Okay. So the judge in the Trump trial gave a good example of circumstantial evidence. See, if it's raining, if somebody that's known for lying told you it was raining outside and you went out there, and you looked out there and saw people carrying umbrellas, and you saw sidewalks is wet and all of that, then the circumstantial evidence would agree with what came out that person's mouth. Is that right? Okay, well, that's circumstantial evidence. Well, the scripture says in the 12th chapter of Numbers, and down there around the 6th or 7th verse, it says that, or a little later, it says, my servant Moses is not so. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently. When something is apparent, is it like when you sleep and wake up and look outside? It was dry when you went to sleep. And then you look outside and the streets is wet and everything. You say, it must have rained. Huh? Because it was apparent to you that ain't nobody did all that with a water hose. Huh? Okay, well, it's apparent to me that the mouth of God is Moses, David, Solomon, Jesus, Ezekiel, Hosea. And if I'm reading what they got to say and actually digesting it and understanding it, then apparently I'm the one that they talking to. I didn't hear you. Okay. So George Washington, he said, I'm not unconscious in the outset of the inferiority of my qualifications to diffidence of myself, meaning I'm not going to take it upon myself to as you say, have the last word about what I'm qualified for and what I'm not. He said, and it says, let me get this right. Experience in my own eyes, perhaps still more in the eyes of others, has strengthened the motives to diffidence of myself. In other words, I would much rather to rely on the good advice of people around me that I respect, who has helped me through the years in the task of warfare and in the task of governance. He says, and every day the increasing weight of years admonishes me more and more that the shade of retirement is as necessary to me as it will be welcomed by me. Do you understand? Satisfied that if any circumstances have given peculiar value to my services, peculiar or particular value to my services, they were temporary. I have the consolation. I have the consolation to believe that while choice and prudence invite me to quit the political scene, patriotism at the same time does not forbid it. Do you understand? In other words, I didn't quit on you in the time of war, and I would not quit on you in the time of peace if there was too much unrest. I would try to make sure that I finished helping to establish this government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's what I got out of what he said. Then he says, in looking forward to the moment which is intended to terminate the career of my public life, my feelings do not permit me to suspend the deep acknowledgement of the debt of gratitude which I owe to my beloved country for the many honors it has conferred upon me. Still more for the steadfast confidence with which it has supported me, and for the opportunities I have thence enjoyed of manifesting my inviolable attachment by service faithful and persevering, continuous, though in usefulness unequal to my zeal, my desire, my spirit to want to do, even when my ability to do was lacking. If you know, in church you learn, when I was in church, they used to say God loves a cheerful giver. He said, and God blesses you even if you didn't have anything. If you had the desire to give, he blesses you for that. Do you understand? I remember that from the time I was a little boy. You know, because you don't always have the ability to give what you would like, but to have the desire to do it in the eyes of Allah is the same as you did it. Do you understand? Okay. It says, if benefits have resulted to our country from these services, let it always be remembered to your praise. And as an instructive example in our annals, in our histories, that under circumstances in which the passions agitated in every direction were liable to mislead amid appearances sometimes dubious to the intellect. Vicissitudes of fortune often discouraging in situations in which not unfrequently want of success has countenanced the spirit of criticism. The constancy of your support was the essential prop of the efforts and a guarantee of the plans by which they were effected. Profoundly penetrated with this idea, I shall carry it with me to my grave as a strong incitement to unceasing vows. Let me stop here for a minute. It is, George Washington was enumerating the importance and value of the support of people who elected him, of people who had seen his patriotism put on full display in the offering of his services and his life in the war between the army of King George and the colonies. And he had already proven his patriotism. Do you understand? So when you elect a man for president, you should already know that he can be trusted to lay down his life if necessary for the country, for its people, all of its people. Do you understand? There ain't no father that just care about part of his household. If he don't care about the whole household, he don't care. Period. Do you understand? It's like sometimes it may appear that he don't care, because when you take on the mantle of leading a nation, you even have to put your individual family second. Do you understand? Because you can't, unless you start practicing nepotism, and that will never work in a free society. If you're trying to promote and maintain a democratic republic, then you have to make everyone and treat everyone equally. Do you understand? It's like with I remember the Messenger when W.D. Muhammad went out with Malcolm and then came back, wanted to come back after Malcolm got killed. And he called the Messenger and told the Messenger he wanted to be up on the stage with the Messenger at Savior's Day. The Messenger said, that's good, son. He said, But you're going to have to admit that you was wrong. And Wallace told him, he said, I know it, Daddy. Yes, sir. And the messenger hung up on him and didn't greet him. Because the messenger knew that that's hypocrisy. Do you understand? What's done changed? I'm still teaching the same thing I was teaching before. And you left. You went out, you and Malcolm. Now you're going to come back and say that you was wrong and that you don't believe that no more? You're going to be lying then. Well, the messenger said he told him. He got up and he told the people, he said, I'm not going to let anyone, even my son, destroy the good that Allah have given me for you. And I told him that I can't accept you back unless they accept you back. He's talking about the nation. And all of them was clapping for him and all of that kind of thing. But, you don't turn on God's messenger and then think, I'm going to clap for you to come back. That don't work for me. That wouldn't have worked for me. I wasn't in the nation at that time. But you don't get to go out and slander God's messenger and then come back to me talking about you didn't mean it. I don't want to hear that. You did mean it, but you wouldn't have did it. But anyway, so when a man has proved that he is a patriot, then he has earned, if you elect him for president, he has earned your trust already. It's just like President Biden. I don't doubt his patriotism, and I don't doubt his caring about the whole country. And since I don't have the information being delivered to me every day that he has delivered to him, the intelligence that he receives about what's happening around the world. So, I have to trust his judgment. Do you understand? Because I know that when he's making a judgment, he's not just thinking about what's happening there. He's thinking about how is this going to affect the United States also. He cares about the reputation of the United States. How can you be a member of the world society and you don't care what the world society thinks about you? Netanyahu, and as the head of Israel, he should have been knowledgeable of how is the world going to look at my country. No, I'm not going to have you going out there doing something that's going to make more enemies. I like to build bridges. I don't like to go around with burning them. So anyway, I know that I don't believe in fair weather friendship either. But a true friend is not going to invite me into something that will bring me and him into disrepute, something that he just foolishly did based on his emotions. Do you understand? You the head of state. You got no business making emotional decisions. You make decisions that's in the best interest, long-term interests of your people. Anyway, George Washington, he said, let me see where I left off at. If benefits have resulted in our country from these services which I have given, let it always be remembered to your praise, as you have supported and backed me up in the things that I wanted to do. Do you understand? It says, and he says, I shall carry it with me to my grave as a strong incitement to unceasing vows that heaven may continue to you the choicest tokens of its beneficence, that your union and brotherly affection, look at that term, your union and brotherly affection, brotherly love, may be perpetual, may go from one generation to the next, never ending as it has seemingly ended now. It says that the free Constitution, which is the work of your hands, when Allah made a covenant through whose hands? Through the prophets. And they all acknowledged that. And so it says the Constitution was made through their hands. Do you understand? It says that the free Constitution, which is the work of your hands, may be sacredly maintained, that its administration in every department may be stamped with wisdom and virtue. Wisdom and virtue. Wisdom and righteousness. There's no such thing as virtue that's not righteous. Do you understand? He says that in fine, the happiness of the people of these states under the auspices of liberty may be made complete by so careful a preservation and so prudent a use of this blessing as will acquire to them the glory of recommending it to the applause, the affection, and adoption of every nation which is yet a stranger to it. George Washington wanted this country to be such a beacon of freedom and justice that every other nation on earth of free-thinking people, in other words, of every human being, would want to adopt it as their own. Then he said, here perhaps I ought to stop, but a solicitude for your welfare, which cannot end but with my life, and the apprehension of danger natural to the solicitude, urge me on an occasion like the present, as I am leaving this office and retiring from politics, or active role in politics other than voting, to offer to you, to your solemn contemplation, that you will sit quietly and think over what I'm about to say to you, and to recommend to your frequent review. Once a year ain't frequent enough. You need to be reading the George Washington's farewell address once a month in Congress and in the Supreme Court and in the White House. Some sentiments which are, it says, and to recommend to your frequent review some sentiments, some thoughts, which are the result of much reflection on my part, of no inconsiderable observation, and which you, with the more freedom, which you, let me make sure I got this right, and which appear to me all important to the permanency of your happiness as a people. These will be offered to you with the more freedom as you can only see in them the disinterested warnings of a parting friend. Not a parting politician, but a parting friend who can possibly have no personal motive to bias his counsel, nor can I forget, as an encouragement to it, your indulgent reception of my sentiments on a former and not dissimilar occasion, and interwoven as in the love of liberty with every ligament of your hearts. No recommendation of mine is necessary to fortify or confirm the attachment that you have gained and have developed in the true exercising of freedom. The problem, I'm going to leave it right there, because in his farewell speech, his farewell address, he said that he was addressing you as a friend. He declined trying to being a president again. Just now I want to talk to you just as a citizen and a friend. And you be very foolish. You'd be very foolish to not pay attention to George Washington's farewell address. In his farewell address, he touched on so many things. As he said, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, if you want a prosperous government, I remember the messenger, many people, they had him all wrong. The messenger said, we're not trying to overthrow the government, just your ignorance. Your ignorance is the thing that's going to overthrow this government. You see what happened on January 6th, 2021? You know what did that? Ignorance. You know, what did you see on John Wick, that later chapters, where John Wick 4, they said it a little bit more when they was sitting in the room there, the little arrogant aristocrat was saying about the rules, and they was getting ready to sentence, gonna get John Wick and destroy him, and gonna destroy his friend Winston. And Winston was ready to pay the price for helping John when they had told him not to. And the man told him, he said, there are consequences. He said, you broke the rules. And he said, without the rules, and then Winston finished it. He said, we live with the animals. Do you understand? You notice, an animal is illiterate. An animal, the animal world has no laws that govern them. If you can take from someone, just take it. If you can eat up a child or an offspring of another animal, eat it. If you can catch it, whatever you kill, it's yours. Do you understand? But not so with man. Man is not an animal. But man can be reduced to acting like an animal if man does not be what he's supposed to be, which is the temple of truth, the temple of God. God is the truth. Without the truth, nothing that exists could exist. Do you understand? No thing formed out of matter could be formed without the truth. You don't call man an animal. That's something that they taught you, say man is of the animal family. No, man is not of the animal family. You don't call a dog a man dog and a woman dog. There's no such thing. There's no such creature. And to refer to men and women as males and females is improper. It's time that I wake you up to these things. You've been under the beast, and he's called the beast. It's because he has no spiritual literacy. So he got away with telling you that man is the highest form of animal. Man is not animal. Animal means animated malcontent. All of these people that's walking around on the earth, we have the ability to make ourselves content once we become whole. We can plant and reap. We can build shelters for ourselves that are lasting shelters, that we can change the atmosphere inside of our home with know-how. That, what do you think central air and heat is? You changing the atmosphere inside of your home. On the outside is below zero, and in your home is 78 degrees. I didn't hear you. No other creatures can do that. Just us. We the only ones can do that. Other creatures have to adapt or die. I didn't hear you. So, how do you become uncorruptible? How do you become immune to manipulation? Enlightenment is the key. And so George Washington said, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. And in vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these great pillars of human happiness. These firmest props of the duties of men and citizens. The mere politician, equally with the prophet, ought to respect and to cherish religion and morality. A volume could not trace all their connections with private and public happiness. Let it simply be asked, where is the security for property, for reputation, for life? You saw an example of that with the E. Jean Carroll case. This man slandering these people. He slandered that woman, and she sued him for the slander, and he paid a price for it. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Huh? Then it says, where would the security for your property, for your reputation, for your life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths which are the instruments of investigation in courts of law? And let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained and sustained without religion. That's a pipe dream. There ain't no such thing as high morals without religion. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of a refined natural education of different types, engineering of all types, sciences of all types, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in the exclusion or the absence of religious principle. The minute you start thinking that you can be a good person without religious principles, you have deceived yourself. Do you understand? It is substantially true that virtue, or in other words, morality, is a necessary spring of democratic governments. The rule indeed extends with more or less force to every species or type of freedom-loving governments. What is a dictator? Someone who deprives others of their freedom, of the freedoms that he exercises. Do you understand? That deprives the person the right to make their decisions about their personal and their their station in life, for instance. That's the one thing about rulers. If you look at the past, peasants were peasants. You saw what was that movie that came out with the boy that was a peasant that became a knight, A Knight's Tale. If you wasn't born of royal blood, as they say, you was a peasant, and that's all you're going to ever be. Do you understand? You see, that's the trick that you can play on an ignorant mind. And the Word of God already did away with that and said that God made all nations of men from one blood. Well, what that say about royal blood? It's like these people claiming that they can tell you about where your ancestry come from. Everybody came from the same ancestry. You trace it back far enough, and you'll trace it back to the black man. Do you understand? But anyway, then it says, who then that is a sincere friend to any government can look with indifference upon attempts to shake the foundation of the fabric of a free government? It has to be people of good moral character and who believe in God. You cannot disbelieve in truth and claim to believe in God, because God is the truth. The grantor of dominion is the truth. As long as you see God as a word, you ain't never going to know God. But once you understand God is an acronym for grantor of dominion, then you start to understand that the truth is God. Do you understand? Okay. Promote then. It's George Washington talking there. Promote then as an object of primary importance institutions for the general dispensing or diffusion of knowledge in proportion as the structure of a government gives force. Whatever type of government you have gets its force, its power, by public opinion. You notice, what is an opinion? It's a choice. Is that right? Okay. Then it says, then it is essential that public opinion should be enlightened. And your biggest problem right now in this country and throughout the earth is unenlightened people. Ignorant people who can still be told that the earth is flat. Ignorant people who can be told, just told, that there was fraud in an election, and they didn't even have sense enough to demand proof. Do you understand? Ignorant people who have been reduced to cattle. I remember I was growing up, used to look at Rawhide. That's when Clint Eastwood was a young man, and he played the part of Rowdy Yates. And Gil Favor was the trail boss. And every now and then you would see a cattle stampede. And they'd all be, you could shoot and make a loud noise and they'd just take off running. That's the way people do you now. They do you with false reports. Got you to the point where you just go in there and drink up. You ain't careful what you biting, and you about to lose your republic because you listen to people who lie to you. You listen to people who convince you that the only ones who telling you the truth is them, but they don't tell you that you can invite whoever you want into this forum, and we will talk to them in front of you and prove to you that we are telling you the truth. I'm the only one who's doing that. You see, and I'm not saying that everybody who's disseminating knowledge to you is lying, because I listened to the young man on the Midas Touch, and that Ben Mycelis, and some of the others that come on, Michael Popak, and them, they give you the truth, man. The other young man, that he has about 2 million subscribers. It'll come to me, but he's interviewed President Biden and interviewed, he's a well-known young man. But anyway, I think that you need to start demanding. It's like the little lady that they used to have on there that had the burger and asked, "Where's the beef?" Well, when people trying to sell you a something that to make you disbelieve that your votes are being properly counted or whatnot, don't you think you need to ask, where's the proof? Because if your votes are not being properly counted, and yet these people who saying that the votes are not being properly counted, they still running in elections. Well, how is that supposed to work? The very people who telling you in so many words, don't trust the vote, they running trying to get you to vote for them. Can't nobody overthrow this government from the outside. The only one who can overthrow your government is you. And the way you going, you playing right into you being stampeded over a cliff like cattle, being stampeded into burning your own house down. That's what they're doing to you. This country had immigrants coming into it ever since its inception. The United States is a nation of immigrants. And you sitting up acting like immigration is a problem now. Immigration ain't no problem with you. Your problem is lack of knowledge. Your problem is ignorance. But you don't want nobody coming through Mexico from here, from Mexico or South America or places down there up here, and sitting up. You don't know the history of your own country. A lot of those people come up here for temporary work when it's time to pick vegetation and stuff, watermelons and all that kind of stuff that's grown. White folks ain't out there picking that stuff. Spanish Americans and Spanish people from down below us, they coming on getting them jobs that you don't want, which keeps the price lower because they don't demand as high a pay. Which means that when you get to your market, you don't have to pay as much for it. You know, but you sit up and you lie to yourself. You lie and you listen to people like Donald Trump, who you know is a liar. You know he is a liar. He got out there and told the people that it wasn't no fair trial. He didn't even know what they was charging him with. I don't know where you going to trial and don't know what you're being charged with, and they tell you that when you get arraigned. I didn't hear you. He just lied. He don't care what lie he tell. He said it. These people are so stupid that I could go out there and shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose no support from them idiots. Do you hear me? If you say that he didn't say that, look at what that woman lawyer, Sidney Powell, she said, no, nobody in their right mind would have believed what I said. Huh? Well, why was she saying it? Because she's saying the people who support Donald Trump is out of their mind. That's what she was saying. Yeah. Let me let you hear something here. This is the president speaking.
I'm Hallie Jackson, and we're coming on the air with an NBC News special report. President Biden at the White House now for the first time since former President Trump was convicted and found guilty on those 34 counts of falsifying business records, is now reacting. We want to play for you what President Biden said just moments ago.
Hello, folks. Just checking this afternoon. Good afternoon. Before I begin my remarks, I just want to say a few words about what happened yesterday in New York City.
Why did he do that? Why did he check his watch? You know what that tells me? He been up for a long time. He might have been up all night. I know that because sometimes I can confuse, I remember once I was teaching and it was around 6 o'clock that evening when we went in, and the evening looks like the morning. And so I was up all night talking with these people, and when I knew anything, 12 hours had went by. And we went back outside, and it looked the same as it did when we went in there. And yet, it had been 12 hours. Sometimes when you sleep when you can, and have you ever said good morning when it wasn't morning? You ever said good evening when it wasn't evening? Because it's a difference in morning, it's a difference in evening, and it's a difference in afternoon. And sometimes if you get real busy, it's easy to lose track of what time it is. Do you understand? So,
the American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. Donald Trump was given every opportunity to defend himself. It was a state case, not a federal case, and it was heard by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans, 12 people like you, like millions of Americans who served on juries. This jury is chosen the same way every jury in America is chosen. It was a process that Donald Trump's attorney was part of. The jury heard 5 weeks of evidence, 5 weeks. And after careful deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict.
Now, remember what he said. This was a state case, not a federal case. You remember Donald Trump said that the Biden administration was, what did he say? He was weaponizing the Justice Department. The President of the United States ain't got no authority over the state people. You see, that was the problem when Donald Trump tried to get William Barr to fire somebody and move him and put somebody else in there. But the way the Southern District of New York is, you can't just replace people like that. You know, if one of them quit, then the one who was next in line, that's who takes it. Do you understand? And so that's why the man that was over the SNDY, Southern District of New York, when he left, somebody that was going to be a straight shooter took over instead of somebody that would have been appointed by him, by your boy. That's why when he tried to say that that man had quit, the man said, no, I didn't quit. You remember he came out there and said, Jeffrey, what's his name? Jeffrey something, I don't forget. But anyway, Barr tried to get him to say he quit. And Barr went out there and said the man was resigning. And the man came back and said, no, I'm not resigning. Huh? And then if he want to fire him, then the next in line would be the one that was up under him. Do you understand? So, but no, the state of New York is the one that went after Donald Trump. Do you understand? That it's a difference in federal. The Attorney General of the whole United States, that's federal. But the Attorney General of New York, that's state. Do you understand? Okay.
They found Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts. Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works.
And I'll tell you something else. They doing all that talking all that yang about, them was just misdemeanors and whatnot. Well, the president can be impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors. And if he's guilty of all them misdemeanors, even if you call him that, he ain't got no business sitting up in the White House. I didn't hear you. He sure was guilty of what they found him guilty of. The evidence all said that. Filing fraudulent documents to hide what he really did with the money paid out to Stormy Daniels. So.
And it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years, and it literally is the cornerstone of America, our justice system. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. It's as simple as that. That's America. That's who we are. That's who we'll always be, God willing. Now to another issue. I want to give an update on my efforts to end the crisis in Gaza. For the past several months, my negotiators of foreign policy, intelligence community, and like have been relentlessly focused, not just on a ceasefire that would inevitably be fragile and temporary, but on a durable end of the war. That's been the focus, a durable end of this war. One that brings all the hostages home, ensures Israel's security, creates a better day after in Gaza without Hamas in power, and sets the stage for a political settlement that provides a better future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. Now, after intensive diplomacy carried out by my team, my many conversations with leaders of Israel, Qatar, and Egypt, and other Middle Eastern countries, Israel has offered a comprehensive new proposal. It's a roadmap to an enduring ceasefire and the release of all hostages. This proposal has been transmitted by Qatar to Hamas. Today, I want to lay out its terms for American citizens and for the world. This new proposal has 3 phases. 3. The first phase would last for 6 weeks. Here's what it would include: a full and complete ceasefire, a withdrawal of Israeli forces from all populated areas of Gaza, release of a number of hostages, including women, the elderly, the wounded, in exchange for release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. There are American hostages who would be released at this stage, and we want them home. Additional, some remains of hostages who have been killed will be returned to their families, bringing some degree of closure to that terrible grief. Palestinians, civilians would return to their homes and neighborhoods in all areas of Gaza, including in the north. Humanitarian assistance would surge, with 600 trucks carrying aid into Gaza every single day. With the ceasefire, that aid could be safely and effectively distributed to all who need it. Hundreds of thousands of temporary shelters, including housing units, would be delivered by the international community. All that and more would begin immediately. Immediately. During the 6 weeks of phase 1, Israel and Hamas would negotiate the necessary arrangements to get to phase 2, which is a permanent end to hostilities. Now, I'll be straight with you. There are a number of details to negotiate to move from phase 1 to phase 2. Israel will want to make sure its interests are protected. But the proposal says if the negotiations take longer than 6 weeks for phase 1, the ceasefire will still continue as long as negotiations continue. In the United States, Egypt, and Qatar would work to ensure negotiations keep going. All agreements, until all the agreements are reached and phase 2 is able to begin. Then phase 2, there would be an exchange for the release of all remaining living hostages, including male soldiers. Israeli forces would withdraw from Gaza, and as long as Hamas lives up to its commitments, a temporary ceasefire would become, in the words of the Israeli proposal, the cessation of hostilities permanently, end of quote. Cessation of hostilities permanently. Finally, in phase 3, a major reconstruction plan for Gaza would commence, and any final remains of hostages who've been killed would be returned to their families. That's the offer that's now on the table. And what we've been asking for. It's what we need. The people of Israel should know they can make this offer without any further risk to their own security because they've devastated Hamas forces over the past 8 months. At this point, Hamas no longer is capable of carrying out another October 7th. It's one of Israel's main objectives in this war, and quite frankly, a righteous one. I know there are those in Israel who will not agree with this plan and will call for the war to continue indefinitely. Some are even in the government coalition. And they've made it clear they want to occupy Gaza, they want to keep fighting for years, and the hostages are not a priority to them. Well, I've urged the leadership in Israel to stand behind this deal, despite whatever pressure comes. And to the people of Israel, let me say this. As someone who's had a lifelong commitment to Israel, as the only American president who's ever gone to Israel in a time of war, as someone who just sent the U.S. forces to directly defend Israel when it was attacked by Iran, I ask you to take a step back and think of what will happen if this moment is lost. We can't lose this moment. Indefinite war in pursuit of an unidentified notion of total victory will not bring Israel, will only bog down Israel and Gaza, draining the economic, military, and human resources, and furthering Israel's isolation in the world. That will not bring hostages home. That will not not bring an enduring defeat of Hamas. That will not bring Israel lasting security. But a comprehensive approach that starts with this deal will bring hostages home and will lead to more secure Israel. And once a ceasefire and hostage deal is concluded, it unlocks the possibility of a great deal more progress, including calm along Israel's northern border with Lebanon. The United States will help forge a diplomatic resolution, one that ensures Israel's security and allows people to safely return to their home without fear of being attacked. With the deal, a rebuilding of Gaza will begin. Arab nations and the international community, along with Palestinian and Israeli leaders, to get it done in a manner that does not allow Hamas to rearm. And the United States will work with our partners to rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals in Gaza, to help repair communities that were destroyed in the chaos of war. And with this deal, Israel could become more deeply integrated in the region, including, it's no surprise to you all, including a potential historic normalization agreement with Saudi Arabia. Israel could be part of a regional security network to counter the threat posed by Iran. All this progress would make Israel more secure, with Israeli families no longer living in the shadow of a terrorist attack. And all this would create the conditions for a different future, a better future for the Palestinian people. One of self-determination, dignity, security, and freedom. This path is available once the deal is struck. Israel will always have the right to defend itself against the threats to its security and to bring those responsible for October 7th to justice. And the United States will always ensure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself. If Hamas fails to fulfill its commitments under the deal, Israel can resume military operations. But Egypt and Qatar have assured me, and they are continuing to work to ensure that Hamas doesn't do that. The United States will help ensure that Israel lives up to their obligations as well. That's what this deal says. That's what it says. And we'll do our part. This is truly a decisive moment. Israel has made their proposal. Hamas says it wants a ceasefire. This deal is an opportunity to prove whether they really mean it. Hamas needs to take the deal. For months, people all over the world have called for ceasefire. Now it's time to raise your voices and demand that Hamas come to the table, agrees to this deal, and ends this war that they began. Of course, there'll be differences on the specific details that need to be worked out. That's natural. If Hamas comes to negotiate, ready to deal, then Israel negotiations must be given a mandate, the necessary flexibility to close that deal. Past 8 months have marked heartbreaking pain. Pain of those whose loved ones are slaughtered by Hamas terrorists on October 7th. Hostages and their families waited in anguish. Ordinary Israelis whose lives were forever marked by the shattering event of Hamas's sexual violence and ruthless brutality. And the Palestinian people have endured sheer hell in this war. Too many innocent people have been killed, including thousands of children. Far too many have been badly wounded. We all saw the terrible images from the deadly fire in Rafah earlier this week, following an Israeli strike against targeting Hamas. And even as we work to surge assistance to Gaza, with 1,800 trucks delivering supplies these last 5 days, 1,800, the humanitarian crisis still remains. I know this is a subject on which people in this country feel deep, passionate convictions, and so do I. This has been one of the hardest, most complicated problems in the world. There's nothing easy about this, nothing easy about it. Through it all, though, the United States has worked relentlessly to support Israeli security, to get humanitarian supplies into Gaza, to get a ceasefire and a hostage deal to bring this war to an end. Yesterday, with this new initiative, we've taken an important step in that direction. I want to level with you today as to where we are and what might be possible. But I need your help. Everyone who wants peace now must raise their voices and let the leaders know they should take this deal, work to make it real, make it lasting, and forge a better future out of the tragic terror attack and war. It's time to begin this new stage. For the hostages to come home, for Israel to be secure, for the suffering to stop. It's time for this war to end, for the day after to begin. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign? We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir.
Should he be on the ballot, sir?
President Biden not biting on those questions from our colleague Kelly O'Donnell at the White House. The president making remarks on two major issues. The first is an Israeli plan, a multi-phase plan that would bring peace ultimately, a ceasefire ultimately, and a release of hostages.
You know, that's what having a man that's unqualified for being president for 4 years degenerated everything into. No questions about the important thing, which was what you're doing over there to stop all that killing and stuff. You want to talk about Donald Trump. Donald Trump done been found guilty and waiting sentencing. And you sitting up there still want to make everything about Donald Trump. It ain't about Donald Trump. Let me see here. This young man here, let's see.
Before I begin my remarks, I just want to say a few words about
this one.
President Biden just gave a pitch-perfect speech addressing the fact that Donald Trump is now a convicted felon after a jury of Donald Trump's peers on Thursday found Donald Trump guilty on each of the 34 felony counts in his criminal trial. In President Biden's speech, he talked about the system of justice in our nation, a system of justice that has endured for 250 plus years, that is now under attack, and that Donald Trump had his day in court. Donald Trump had the ability to select the jury along with the prosecution. Donald Trump had the right to competent defense counsel. Donald Trump had the right to testify, which he did not. Donald Trump was given all of the resources available under our Constitution, and after a 7+ week trial, 5 weeks of actual evidence, and a 12-hour jury deliberation, a jury of Donald Trump's peers found Donald Trump guilty, guilty, guilty. Here's President Biden speaking earlier today in the White House. Let's play this clip.
The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. Donald Trump was given every opportunity to defend himself. It was a state case, not a federal case, and it was heard by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans, 12 people like you, like millions of Americans who served on juries. This jury is chosen the same way every jury in America is chosen. It was a process that Donald Trump's attorney was part of. The jury heard 5 weeks of evidence, 5 weeks. And after careful deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict. They found Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts. Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works. And it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years. And it literally is the cornerstone of America, our justice system. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. It's as simple as that. That's America. That's who we are. And that's who we'll always be, God willing.
As former Republican consultant Tim Miller writes, President Biden pitch perfect right now. Glad he spoke clearly about the MAGA attacks on our justice system. President Biden saying, that's America, that's who we are, and that's who we will always be, God willing. I want to share with you another portion of what I just shared with you from President Biden's speech, because it's just so important, where he talks about how our justice system works and how reckless and dangerous and irresponsible it is for anybody to say this system is rigged just because you don't win. Play this clip.
That's how the American system of justice works. And it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years. And it literally is the cornerstone of America, our justice system. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. It's as simple as that. That's America. That's who we are. And that's who we'll always be, God willing.
And that's the theme over and over again with these MAGAs. It's always rigged unless they win. They always find a way to complain and whine about the outcomes they don't like and say everything is rigged. But if they win, then they say it is not rigged. I want to share with you this other moment as President Biden is leaving the press conference. He gets asked an absolutely ridiculous question by the press. And you can see President Biden, who's devoted his entire life to public service, just even trying to process the ignorance embedded in this question, or the fact that this question even has to be asked in the first place. Let me share with you this moment as President Biden was walking out of the press conference. Play this clip.
Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign? We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir.
Should he be on the ballot, sir?
Here's the statement issued by the Biden campaign following the guilty verdict yesterday. I want to share with you. Biden-Harris campaign on the verdict. In New York, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed that he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain. But today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There is still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, at the ballot box. Convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. The threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He is running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one and calling for our Constitution to be terminated so he can regain and keep power. A second Trump term means chaos, ripping away Americans' freedoms and fomenting political violence, and the American people will reject it in November. There's no hyperbole in that statement. Donald Trump has called for the termination of the United States Constitution. Donald Trump has stated in his own words that he wants to be a dictator on day one. Donald Trump has made it clear that his campaign is one of revenge and retribution. I want to share with you as well a statement from the Biden campaign made before as well, where they addressed Donald Trump's completely unhinged. I guess Donald Trump billed it as a press conference, although Trump took no questions from the press. A very weak, cowardly, tired-looking, lost-looking Donald Trump was giving this conference or speech, if you will, before the press, I want to compare that to what you just saw from President Biden, but here's what the Biden campaign put out as their response to Trump's unhinged speech. America just witnessed a confused, desperate, and defeated Donald Trump ramble about his own personal grievances and lie about the American justice system, leaving anyone watching with one obvious conclusion. This man cannot be president of the United States. Unhinged by his 2020 election loss and spiraling from his criminal convictions, Trump is consumed by his own thirst for revenge and retribution. He thinks this election is about him, but it is not. It's about the American people, lowering their costs, protecting their freedoms, defending their democracy. That's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are fighting for. Donald Trump is sowing chaos, attacking the rule of law, and fighting for the only thing in the world he gives a damn about, Donald Trump. So I shared with you President Biden's press conference. Let me share with you earlier what Donald Trump said so you can put it side by side. Here, Donald Trump is saying that the prosecution was able to do salacious things, but he claims he did not ever have any relations with Storm. You play this clip.
Other people weren't able to testify, but with these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened. And then
Donald Trump claims that the witnesses that he wanted to call were literally, he says, he used the word literally crucified. He said, well, you called one witness, the MAGA lawyer Robert Costello, who was not literally crucified. He was cross-examined and proven to be an absolute liar. But here's Donald Trump whining. Play this clip.
as far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action.
And here's Donald Trump whining and complaining about why he didn't testify after promising everybody he would testify the same way he does in all criminal trials, where he says he's going to testify and then doesn't. Play this clip.
I would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify, because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify, because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong, and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there? And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case. Because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But
you ever heard a man stand up and just, you can tell he don't listen to his own self. Now, he said he's innocent of everything. Then he comes right back and saying they want to bring in everything that, every past thing that he done did. I thought he wasn't guilty of nothing. So bringing up his past, if they had done that, wouldn't get nowhere, no way, would it? And the only thing they brought up was the evidence of his conversations with Michael Cohen and what he instructed David Pecker to do and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what the evidence showed. They didn't go back into nothing no further than that. The case was about fraud and the counts of different ways that the fraud was backed up. Do you understand? And so, you know, the man just, he you know, on one minute he's saying he's not guilty, and the next minute he confesses that he's guilty.
you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening.
So you take a look at what's going on with Fox right now and what they are saying on Fox. Some bizarre stuff. You have Donald Trump's former press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, who Donald Trump calls Milquetoast McEnany. That's the name that he calls her. She's on Fox trying to secure her bag, right? They pay her to say these things. And she goes that what President Biden needs to do is reach out to the governor of New York and get Donald Trump pardoned. That's like what she's saying. Play this clip.
Biden, you want to take the high road? Call up Kathy Hochul. Have her give a pardon. You could do that.
Oh, wow. All right.
You then have the Speaker of the House, MAGA Mike Johnson. He goes on Fox and he says that he's got a personal relation.
So now you admitting that he's guilty, but you want him to be pardoned. I mean, I thought he wasn't guilty. You see what that sound like? See, I told you. I tell you what, you try this. Try to support a liar without becoming one. You will discover that the truth will never support a lie. The only people that can support a liar is other liars. Because he makes a liar. Look at what Todd Blanche did to himself in court. The judge had to tell Todd Blanche, after Todd Blanche stood up there in front of the judge and just outright just started lying, the judge told him, you're losing all credibility with this court. And even other lawyers said they had never heard a judge tell a lawyer that. You see, in order to represent somebody like Donald Trump, who lies, and you trying to say he's not guilty, you remember Todd Blanche opened up by telling the jury that nothing happened between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels, as though he was going to prove that did nothing happen with him. And he didn't prove none of that. But he started off lying, which he should have known better than to do. But, I don't know, maybe he could retire off of what Donald Trump then was paying him. But, you know, it's sad, man.
With the right-wing Supreme Court justices, and he says he's confident that the right-wing Supreme Court justices are going to do something and they're going to try to intervene. I mean, these people are the exact opposite of law and order. What you're speaking with, MAGA Mike, Alito, who hangs his flag upside down and flies the insurrectionist flag, and you're out there on TV bragging about it because a jury made up of 12 individuals found Donald Trump liable after deliberations, the way the process is supposed to work. Here, this is MAGA Mike Johnson.
Do you think that the Supreme Court has a duty to step in since this will impact, the election? I know we want to act like he's just a normal guy, but he's a leading presidential candidate. The voters should know what's going to happen here. So what do you see playing out in the legal system?
Well, there's a lot of developments yet to come, but I do believe the Supreme Court should step in. Obviously, this is totally unprecedented, and it's dangerous to our system. I mean, we've all discussed this before, and you all talk about it all the time. This is diminishing the American people's faith in our system of justice itself. And to maintain a republic, you have to have that. People have to believe that justice is fair, that there's equal justice under...
Then, listen at what he's saying. He's saying people have to believe that the justice system is fair, and he there trying to convince them that it ain't. Do you see the game that's being ran? The arsonist is pretending he wants to put out the fire. Well, you see him now lighting the fire. The Supreme Court needs to step in. Step in to do what? To undo A jury verdict? Oh, yeah?
Law. They don't see that right now. And I think that the justices on the court, I know many of them personally, I think they're deeply concerned about that as we are. So I think they'll set this straight, but it's going to take a while. You're right. The process takes a while to play out.
Just so you see, this is all coordinated. You then have on Fox, Mark Levin, sounds like that. And Mark Levin goes on and he starts screaming and yelling, the Supreme Court should jump in. The Supreme Court needs to jump in. This is what's going on Fox right now. Play this clip.
Kooks do it. We need to look at Bush versus Gore. Why did the Supreme Court take that case from the Florida Supreme Court? We need to look at things like common law writs, which I know the audience don't understand, but a lot of lawyers do. Not writs of certiorari based on statute, but common law writs based on judicial decisions. We need to give the Supreme Court the opportunity to fix this. Why? We cannot have local...
Now, he's standing up there saying need the Supreme Court to rig this. That's what you know, when you say the fix is in, you're saying you rig it. So, see how he just, I mean, they just be talking. And, you know, like the woman in Arizona said, if I become the governor, Donald Trump will win next time. Is that what she said? They gonna fix it where he gonna win. Man, and the people. I mean, it's your country. If you want to give it away to them, go ahead. You know, just these people never stop fighting the Civil War. Talking about we need another Civil War. They ain't never stopped fighting the first one. That's why you got all these rednecks and all these fools up there now. They told you they was the Tea Party. You know, in the Tea Party, everybody was faking. I didn't hear you. They may have been dressed up like Native Americans, but they wasn't Native Americans. They may be dressed up like Republicans, but they ain't Republicans. They Confederates. That's the new Confederacy there. You know, I heard something that made me feel pretty good. That it's about time people done started waking up and, you know, standing up. And this was on Joy Reid today. And she was interviewing this fella, and they finally started talking like they got some sense.
Nationalists, really just knuckle-dragging idiots out there. And I think at this point, I think maybe independents, Democrats, and center-right Republicans need to be a lot tougher, right? And they're talking about bringing the fight, Joy. They're talking about there's violence on multiple social media platforms being, talked about against individuals because of this Trump verdict, against Democrats or independents or people that are anti-Trump or the jurors themselves. And it's time for people to step up. And if you're with somebody in a place who's talking ridiculousness, it's time to confront these individuals. I've used the word compassionate confrontation, but sometimes you just got to be damn confrontational when people act this way.
What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you sooner or later they're going to find out what a true patriot is? Man, you keep on just jugging at it. Keep jugging at it. Keep poking the bear. You're gonna wish you had left that bear alone. You know that? Why you think that song, America? You notice it, the verse in it that Ray Charles chose to put first was, "Oh, beautiful for people freed in liberating strife, who more than self their country they loved, and they loved mercy more than life." Huh? Yeah, man, you better wake up. You think you're the only one that can as they say, lose your life. If you come after mine, you can't leave your life at home. Just remember something. And I'd be remiss if I did not share this with you. So I'm going to share it with you. This is the 23rd chapter of Jeremiah. Now, I'm going to be closing out in a minute. But I want you to read with me a little bit here. These evangelicals out here that's lying and going on and done turned Trump into some kind of second Jesus. What did that boy in Congress say? The things we do for the orange Jesus. Woe be unto the pastors. Do that fit anybody you know? Huh? Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter, divide the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Look what they do. They try to make Muhammad the enemy of Jesus. Try to make Jesus the enemy of Moses. We don't live in the Old Testament no more. That's Moses' law. Huh? Okay. Then you got some over here talking about, well, I believe in the Bible. I don't know nothing about no Quran. Is that right? You sure don't know nothing about it. And you don't know nothing about the Bible, because if you knew anything about the Bible, you would have been expecting the Holy Quran. For the Bible says that a book of remembrance would be written before the Lord for them that thought upon his word in the Bible. The Holy Quran is the book of remembrance. It's a reminder. So it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel. You know, Jacob may be your God, but he ain't mine. I'm his Lord. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel. Against the pastors that feed my people. Feed them lies. You have scattered my flock and driven them away and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord. May he be destroyed. How what? How he determined. In another place it says, we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that every man may have done in his body according to what? According to that which he have done, whether it be good or bad, good or evil. I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord. You want to keep eating pig? Well, you're going to suffer the consequences. You want to keep doing, using drugs? You're going to suffer the consequences. All of the things that you do, you're going to now suffer the consequences of it. It says, and I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. You notice the word of God from Moses, Jesus, David, Solomon. I done gathered them all to me now. And they bearing fruit now. It says, and I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed. Neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper. and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. The Father judgeth no man, but hath committed all judgment unto who? Unto the Son, because he is the Son of Man. And it says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, all the holy scriptures with him, he comes with clouds, all the clouds with him, and he shall sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall say to the sheep, first he will set the sheep to his right and the goats to his left. Then shall the king say, now he called me the king, as is written, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. What is the Holy Scripture for instruction here? And the Word was made flesh, the Lord our righteousness. That's me. And then it says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country. We in North America, ain't we? Yeah, now you know what's coming for you. So you keep thinking that you can fight me. No, you are deceived. You are deluded. I done already won. How you know I done already won? Listen. What's that sound you hear? That's the sound of silence. So I warned you. Now you can't say I didn't give you warning. Everything you scheming and planning is against yourself. You just don't know it. You gonna try to destroy something that God set in motion? What a fool you are. It don't take long if you study the history of the United States and how it came about and everything, then you would know that it wasn't no accident. You would know it. It's no accident. It's just like what Master Farad Muhammad did. Master Farad Muhammad's father, when he told the messenger how his father went and he found him a white wife, he went up into the hills. The hills is the teachings of the prophets. And he found him a wife. If a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing and obtain favor from who? From the Lord. From the hills. And he made a good Muslim out of her. And then he put his seed in her. Now let's see here. Out of all of the nations on earth, Allah, he didn't have Nan to give birth to his son in. So he made one. Just a moment. I'm going to show you. Let's see here. I likes to show you these things. I don't want you to think that I'm making something up. This is the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran. And, I got to take my time and make sure that, see, what I'm doing now is where you drown when you go in the scripture. But I walk on the water. You see? And, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm going over on dry land because I'm rightly dividing it, the word of truth. Now, with the help of Allah, I'm rightly dividing it. And in the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran and the 16th, the 15th, I think, chapter of the book of John. Tell you in a minute. Might be the 14th. See here. Yes, the 15th chapter. 15th chapter of John. Now, look at this in the 80. This is the 82nd verse of the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran. It says, "Thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the believers, against the prophets, to be the Jews." Who hated Jesus the most? Come on. Who?
The Jews.
And who said, "Let him be crucified"?
The Jews.
And who did Jesus tell you got on him and told him, "You're of your father the devil"?
The Jews. Okay,
now just hold on. And to this day, have you met a Jew that claimed to believe in Jesus? All right. "Thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the believers, against the prophets." You notice, I challenge you to show me in any scripture a religion that the prophet brought, Moses. Show me in Moses' teachings that he brought a religion called Judaism. Show it to me. See, they hear me talking and they know that Judaism didn't come from God nor Moses, because Moses was actually God. But it came from them. Judaism, they made it up. They have had the dominion. It says, "Thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the prophets." The prophets are the believers. It says that's what's meant by believers there. In the Holy Quran, it says that when Allah made a covenant through the prophets, he said, "Certainly what I have given you of book and wisdom, then a messenger will come to you, verifying that which is with you. You shall believe in him." So all of the prophets and messengers, they believed in me. Yes. Come on, move fast. Okay, unmute them. Let's get to it, because it's getting close to. Yes, caller.
Man?
Yes.
Oh, I found that chapter. I took it away, but but I found the 5th chapter. I got it.
Okay. Well, mute your phone back. Okay. So, as he says, thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the prophets to be the Jews and the idolaters. People who worship the works of their own hands. That's an idolater. People who write books and then offer them up for sale, talking about this going to guide you to peace and this going to guide you to this. Ain't no other source of peace but the Word of God. They got a song that say, I can't get no satisfaction. How you going to get satisfaction and you ain't got no peace? You ain't never going to be satisfied without peace, man. Huh? And then it says, and thou wilt find the nearest in friendship to the believers to be those who say we are Christians. Look at the Constitution and tell me that you can't see that the Constitution is basically based on what's in the Bible. What does the Bible say about religion and coming drinking of the water of life? Don't it say whosoever will, let him come and drink of the water of life, what? Of his own free will. Huh? What did the Bible say about let's see. Let's see. I don't the 12th chapter of Romans. It says, I beseech you, brethren, by the scriptures of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. Meaning, sacrifice your will. Lean not to your will and what you want. Present your bodies a living sacrifice. Holy? Well, how you going to be holy if you ain't in accord with the Holy Scripture? Holy, acceptable unto God. Then it says, which is your reasonable service. What did the judge tell the people about reasonable doubt? If you have a reasonable doubt that this man is guilty, you must find not guilty. Do you understand? There can't be any doubt. Well then, reasonable service is if you can't find any reason why you should not accept the guidance that God is giving, then it's reasonable that you should follow that guidance. I didn't hear you. How many times have I asked you to come in here and explain to people why you don't follow me, why you don't accept me, and tell them why they shouldn't accept me? I would think that you would be chomping at the bit to come in here and tell people why they should not follow me. Come on, you got all this negative stuff. Why shouldn't the people follow? Am I faking when I say I care about people? Am I faking? Which of you all can claim if you left me? Are you saying that you didn't believe I cared about you? You see my point? Even white people. You ain't hear no white people come in here and tell me, oh, nigga, you faking. Don't nobody, you don't care nothing about nobody but yourself. Ain't nobody ever accused me of not caring about anyone but myself. Am I living a life that tells you that I don't care about nobody but me. When the last time I asked you for 1 penny to help me stay on the air? Those that give me funds, they give me funds and tell me, son of man, just whatever you need to do, do it. That's the only way I'd accept it. You don't put no strings on me. I've proven to you that I'm not wasteful and I'm not a robber. I even instructed you on how to donate money. Told you, don't be giving your rent money to nobody but the man that you owe it to. Your house note goes to the bank that you financed it through. After you paid your bills, give me what's left or some of what's left. When you learn who I am and what I'm here for, you'll give me all that's left. So, anyway, burn them bridges, burn them boats. The book says, trust in the Lord and lean not to your own understanding. Don't worry about how you going to make it after you done did what he told you to do. Let me worry about that. So it says, your reasonable service. What is your reasonable service? If you think, if you think that it's reasonable what I'm asking you to do, then do it. If you don't, don't. Do you understand? If it makes sense, do it. If it don't make sense to you, then don't do it. But pretty soon, after you see so much things that I do that are reasonable and get you to do that's reasonable, pretty soon you're going to get to a point where you're going to either have to have faith in me or you not. Because without faith, it's impossible to please God, you. So now if you believe that I'm the best knower among you, then act like it. Run things by me before you do it. And if I tell you to do it, I'm going to back you up in it. Don't be like these people running around here wavering and going on, don't know whether they believe from one meeting to the next. Be glad you're not like that. You understand? So, since there was no nation that Allah could prepare for me to be born in, he made one. He promised Abraham, he said, Abraham, your seed, Abraham, your seed, gonna be strangers in a land that's not theirs. You notice for a long time, the United States was kind to strangers. What is a nation of immigrants? A nation of immigrants is a nation that's kind to strangers. I didn't hear you. Come on now. Look, I'm not going to, I told you, there's some little boys who, some of y'all may get me wrong, but I can't just, look, I can no more change the fact that I was raised in the United States and got some of the spiritual or mental genetic coding of the United States in my brain that's embedded in me. I can't deny that. It's in me. Do you understand? Okay. So naturally, like any little boy, you remember that song by what's his name? O.C. Smith? Hickory Hollis Tramp. It said the path was deep and wide from footsteps leading to our cabin. And above the door there burned a scarlet lamp. In the harbor of New York Harbor there stands a woman with a scarlet lamp, with a lamp in her hand. And late at night a hand would knock. During the time of spiritual darkness, people was knocking on the doors of the house of the United States. A hand would knock and there would stand an immigrant. There would stand a stranger. Yes, I'm the son of Hickory Hollis Tramp. Huh? In this case, North America's tramp. So the leaves were high and the corn was dry and Daddy took to drinking. There was a time when you couldn't get no alcohol in America. If you look at that, The Untouchables, they put a reenactment of that. And you couldn't get no, it was against the law to have alcohol in America. But the weeds were high and the corn was dry and Daddy went to drinking. And him and Sally Walker, they up and ran away. And Mama shed a silent tear and promised 14 children. I swear you'll never see a hungry day. When the last time somebody had to bring, even during the Depression, what nation had to come from somewhere else and bring food to America? I didn't hear you. Mama shed a silent tear and promised, how many states was there then? Was it 48? in the 30s, in the 30 Depression, or was it 50 still? But anyway, promised to all the states, I swear you'll never see a hungry day. So Mama sacrificed her pride and neighbors started talking. Yeah. And we were much too young to understand the things they said. But all we really cared about was Mama's chicken dumplings and a good night kiss before we went to bed. And so, you know, little boys, they are closer to their mama than they are to their daddy. You understand? Little boy always want to protect his mama. And so even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he defended this country. A lot of people didn't know that. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was talking once. He said, I could get in Russia today. He said, but I respects the American government. And I will not go to their enemies seeking help. I don't need them. Do that sound like he hated the government? I didn't hear you. You went to pick up that mic. What's happening?
There were 48 states in the 1930s.
48. Okay. See, I got a pretty good memory of how things was. But anyway, so when was Mama supposed to pass away? Well, what's the 5th General Order?
Quit my post on properly relieved.
And the only time that the U.S. is going to pass away, as the Holy Quran says, die not, pass not away until properly relieved. You see, I'm helping America pass away now. If they're smart, they'll they'll listen to me, and they will gradually just pass on to the next stage of growth and development. And won't be no more crying, no more wars, no more sorrow. If any man enter into the classroom of Christ, he becomes a new creature. This country will become a new country. All you got to do is just keep listening to me. And you will see that the more you listen to me, the more peaceful you become and the more satisfied you become. Do you understand? And so, you remember this, the little nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb? Well, Mary is a name which means rebellious or rebellion. The rebellious house of Israel. Now, in the house of Israel, a little lamb has been produced. Do you understand? And it says that it used to be against the law for the lamb to go to school. Remember that? And so Abraham, after God made a nation to gestate the seed of Abraham. Abraham, thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Now, what did the man at the William Lynch? How did he start his sermon off with? Let me read it to you. I'm just going to read the start of it. It says, "Gentlemen, I greet you here on the banks of the James River in the year of our Lord Jacob." Jacob is their Lord. He had 6,000 years, and they was in one of them years of their Lord. Do you understand? It says, "In the year of our Lord, 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with servants, with slaves. Thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that's not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Now, let's keep up now. Keep up. As it says, I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious King James, whose version of the Bible we cherish. Now, where's Abraham's seeds of truth at? It's in the Bible. Thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Now, how you know the Bible is a stranger? The Bible is a stranger to you because none of y'all was able to open the understanding of it. So it's been closed, and it's been a stranger in the United States. And it says, thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Was any of these scriptures produced over here in the West? So it's a land, you don't call the West the Holy Land, you call the East the Holy Land, don't you? So this seeds in these scriptures here is in a strange, they are strangers in a land that is not the author of them. I didn't hear you. Okay, now you got the seed here before you got the people that No, not really. We came here about the same time. So the seed got here, and then the lump of flesh that seed was going to grow in came here as slaves. Abraham's physical seed and his spiritual seed was brought over here in the United States, but never were the two brought together. That's why I don't teach him how to read. If you teach him how to read, he might go in there and just like a fish out of water. Don't never throw him in the water, because he's going to come to life if you throw him in the water. And so this is what happened. So Allah made a nation and made them sober. Alcohol was forbidden. Gambling and all that kind of stuff. Closed down on Sunday. Made a good Muslim nation out of it as much as you could. And white folks, if I say something that ain't true, you welcome to come in and straighten it out. But you got to admit, there was a time, man. I mean, if you go back to, let me show you something here. I'll tell you what. We'll take this up. It's late. We'll take this up with you Sunday. And I don't like holding you so late. But Master Farad Muhammad, he was born from a woman that had been cleaned up and made into a good Muslim. And there was a time when black people, no matter where we were in the United States, after the migration all over the country, you know, it's just like when a baby is conceived, the egg ovulates to a certain spot, and if it's conceived, it finds the uterine wall where it will attach itself to and then grow from the bloodstream of the mother. Well, my dad and them, when I was born, after I was about 3 years old, they moved out west. And that's where I grew at. That's where I grew up at. And I went to elementary, junior high, and high school right there in Watts. I like that term, Watts. Watts, that reminds you of electricity, don't you? Yeah. So God's elect grew up in Watts. So guess what my high school's name was? Jordan. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? And then my junior high school was called Markham, Mark the Perfect Man. All of these things I could just, teach on, but I'm not. I'm gonna close because I made a promise to somebody that I want to keep, and so I will. I'm gonna let you go for now, but remind me to go back into this, and I'll take it up with you then. Just a moment. Let's see here.
strive, who more than themselves their country love, and mercy, mercy more than life. America, ooh, America, may God all your goals refine, and may all your success be in righteousness, and every gain divine. In school we used to sing it like this. Oh, beautiful for spacious sky, for ample waves of grain, whose purple mountains they stand just like great majesty. Up above, above the fruited plain. I'm talking about America. May Allah bless America, and may He share His grace on thee to crown your good in a one brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. I said, America, may Allah bless America, and may He share His grace on thee. I know He can crown all our good in one brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. And we can thank Allah, we'll thank Allah from sea to shining sea.
Brothers and sisters, don't let nobody play you to burn your own house down and so you can inherit the wind. The man that troubleth his own house, the book says, shall inherit the wind. And if you stupid enough to let somebody get you to destroy your own country that's in your own hands, simply because they jealous and envious of you, then your fathers wasted their lives on ungrateful ingrates that are so far from being George Washington's children. But George Washington wasn't trying to burn down the United States. He was trying to build it up. If you was George Washington's children, you would do the works of George Washington and Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. Well, they held slaves. Well, God said it was going to happen. But they also wrote a constitution that, when properly understood, forbid any man being enslaved. They wrote a Declaration of Independence that flew right in the face of what some of them was trying to condone in the way of enslaving other human beings. The Declaration of Independence said that all men are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. The right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to pursue happiness. Which means that they knew that no man had a right to enslave another man. People always do, they always doing things that they know ain't right. That ain't new. But that don't mean that when they said it wasn't right, that we should ignore that, and that that's still the truth, even if the one who spoke it didn't live up to it. Sometimes people speak the right thing. I've had people that was winos tell me, hey, young blood, look at me. You don't want to be like me. He was telling me right, yet he was being what he should not be. Do you understand? And I give him credit for at least trying to stop me from being stupid. All right, let me let you go. May Allah bless us, keep us safe, and in our right minds. And may Allah bless President Biden and all of those members in the Congress who are trying to do what is right. May he bless you to be united and to get all of the support that you need to do what needs to be done for the good of all of the American people and throughout the earth. It's got to start somewhere. The good that you want to do in other countries is commendable. Then let your charity and your good start at home. All right. May Allah's salam alaikum.
Conference recording. Stop.